Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. I am hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. Before we start off this video in any sort of way, I would like to wish you guys a Merry Christmas, a wonderful time of the year. I don't know why I pulled this image up, just any image. Whether it will be snowing or not snowing, whether it will be a white fucking Christmas or whether it will not be a white Christmas, have the most wonderful time of the year. Guys, this is a wonderful time. Me and my family take this as a very happy, glorious holiday. It's truly the most wonderful time of the year. People come home from for the holidays, from colleges, from the army. It's honestly a wonderful time of the year. And again, whether it'll be snowing, whether or not, weather is independent, or whether Christmas does not depend on this. So, uh, if you'd like to support this channel in any sort of way, I'm moving on to YouTube aspects of this video. Consider subscribing to my channel. Consider liking the video. It helps my channel grow, and it's a great way to support my channel. Also, if you'd like to support this channel in an even more generous way, and if you're feeling extra generous, consider becoming a Patreon. This is a website that I created. All you need to do is click to the link that's posted in the description box below. I copy and pasted it there, and you could sign up. And this is, again, I'm getting $5 a month. That is insane. It's enough to buy a couple of candy bars. I'm really excited about this, guys. So thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for that. I know some people earn $600, $700 off this. $5 for me is plenty. I'm just asking you guys, if you want to, feel free. So today's video, I should have probably said this earlier, is going to be an El Nino update. And the interesting thing is, guys, that the El Nino still hasn't developed. So we are still looking at a neutral pattern right now. And in September, we were like, October, that's when it's going to develop. In October, we were going to be like, November, that is the limit. That's obviously when it's going to develop. And now it's December and it still hasn't developed. We're still a very, very far, or we have gone a very far way, very far time frame without El Nino developing. So right now, as we're looking in this El Nino, a recent evolution and current status and predictions. So this is the outlook that they have, and this is just what I searched up, ENC outlook, and you'll pull this up. So again, look, guys, El Nino watch, ENC neutral, ENSO neutral conditions are present, and again, we're still not in El Nino, which is just ridiculous at this point. We have been waiting so long for this to form, and El Nino is expected to form. They're giving a 90% chance, and I do think it will form, but it's still, again, a very, very, very weird and very tough to predict at this point, because we've been predicting an El Nino for this long and it still hasn't formed. Then why would it form all of a sudden? Well, again, it just has taken longer than expected, and at this point I do think it will form. So let's go back down to, there's a lot of information on here that I won't be covering. There's just so much, some stuff I don't even know myself, guys. I'm not one of those people that claim they're a meteorologist and they're not. So again, let's just look at the Nino region. So the stuff I do know, and right now the Nino 1 plus 2 is least warming up at this point, but everything is not, it's not looking like an El Nino Modokai will be forming, so I won't be covering that in this video. At this point, it seems like a weak to moderate El Nino is in store, and that is because all the Nino regions are warming up. You can see 1.2, 1.1 Celsius, 1 Celsius, 0.8 Celsius. So fucking definitely a El Nino weak to moderate seems to be forming, especially more towards the weak side. So there's a lot of more information right here. You can see the average departures from the 18th through the 15th. During the last 4 weeks, I've actually cooled down a little bit south, but then in the El Nino region, they have warmed up. So definitely an El Nino seems to be forming. There's a lot of information here. Again, I won't be covering. This video will be long, nevertheless, or I'll try making it shorter, but I have a lot to cover. And again, a lot of stuff that I won't be covering. So let's just go down to the information I would want to show you quickly. So this is basically showing you that the departures from the Nino regions. This is showing you what an El Nino is characterized by, what a La Nina is. El Nino when the Celsius or the sea surface temperatures are zero point 0.5 Celsius above normal, and La Nina is when it's below. We're not close to a La Nina. It's either an El Nino or a neutral, but at this point, we're most likely thinking an El Nino. And this is what they're looking at right now. You can see they're at 0.7, but it's not an El Nino, which is a little bit weird, because typically a 0.7, let me find one right here, is considered an El Nino, but this time around it's just it's a rare, honestly, it doesn't happen this often where it's 0.7 and it's not an El Nino. But you could see right there, 90% chance of forming November, December, January, and it decreases throughout the year and goes down into a neutral pattern as we get on into the next winter. If I can So that could be another thing, but that's still so far out. This will change 1,000 times. So you may be wondering, well, what does a El Nino pattern even look like? I'll show you that in just a minute. But another key factor we need to look at is the strength of the El Nino. So the strength of an El Nino is equally as important whether an El Nino will form or not, because the strength of an El Nino, it could mean a whole world of two different things. We look at this, and most of the models are showing it under 1.5, which is considered a weak. Some are showing it around 1.5 to 2, which would be moderate to strong. But again, the averages, the statistical average, DYN average, and the CPC console, which is a climate prediction center model, are all putting it at 1 degree above average or below, which is barely an El Nino, guys. So this is a very weak one. So let's see what a strong El Nino looks like compared to a weak one. A strong El Nino, you could see the northern branch is way farther to the north. It's often milder in the northern part of the United States, stormier and wetter in the southeast and the southwest. And the southern branch of the jet stream, again, is way far to the south, and they don't merge, they don't touch each other, which is necessary in order to develop big storms. Now let's go on to the weak to moderate El Nino pattern, which is what we're expecting to form. Notice any differences? I sure do. We see that the northern branch is dipping way much farther to the south, and it's actually merging with the southern jet. So some things stay the same. Mild, but a little bit further to the northwest. Wet, but a little bit further to the. Sorry about that, guys. A little bit further, or wet, but it's still in the southwest. And then the wet extends in the southeast or the eastern part of the country. It extends from the southeast all the way to the northeast. And these two merging jet streams produce large storms. That's why it could be stormy. And there was another graphic that I'd like to show you that was actually very well produced, showing right there merging jet stream branches with that cold air can produce big eastern storms. That's why I do think the Northeast this year will be absolutely getting pummeled by the storms in January and February, like of 2015, which I'll show you why I want to compare 2015 and 2014 together. But first, I'd like to prove it to you that the El Nino hasn't developed yet. You can see right there, El Nino watch, and it's still, this is just another thing you could look at. I mean, I already proved it to you that the El Nino hasn't developed yet, but this is as of the 13th of December, which is a little bit outdated by a couple of days. Still hasn't formed though. Now let's look at the why I want to compare the 2014 winter, 2015 to 2018, 2019. So as you can see, weak to moderate. 2014, 2015 was a weak one, which we're experiencing this year. And let's see what the AccuWeather had for it. So we already looked at this, and now let's look at the 2014 to 2015 winter highlights that was made when 2014 2015 winter was about to occur. Let's compare this now to the 2018 2019. So this is what obviously this year is going to be like according to AccuWeather. That's what they think. Notice any similarities? I do. I do, certainly. And I see that it's going to be cold across the Midwest like they predicted in the 2014 2015. And let's look at the Northeast. A little bit different, maybe not snowy, cold and mild periods and wintry mix, so they're not too confident about that. But again, this was made when they weren't sure about the El Nino strength, intensity, and whether or not it will even form, and whether a Modokai would form or a El Nino weak to moderate would form. And right now, again, another similarity: strong storms in the southeast. Right here, you can see severe thunderstorms. Let's go back here. Wet and chilly, maybe not chilly, but wet for sure across the southeast. Snow across the mountains, near normal across the desert southwest. That's a little bit different. Okay, that's, you could see variable temps of that year was somewhere around that region, so that was around normal. So that's some similarities. And then the west, mild and dry, and a little bit rainier and wetter across the west, which is again what they have here. So very similar outlooks, and they're right that we'll have such very similar outlooks because again, like I just showed you a couple of minutes ago, that 2014 2015 was considered a weak to moderate El Nino, a weak El Nino, and this year we will also have a weak El Nino. So there will be a lot of similarities. So let's go back. I'd like, this is a Google Docs that I just created quickly with a bunch of images I compiled. And I'd like to start off on the 2014 2015 December. So this was 2014 December. You could see warm across much of the country. If we were to make a chart across this a year across December across the United States, it would look very similar. We had, this is the lowest snow cover across the United States in 2018. that there has been in 16 years. We have 16 years ago, I think, was the last time we had such low snowpack cover for December. So this is definitely also matching. Now let's go to January of 2015. This is what happened afterwards, and this is what I think will happen afterwards of this December. This is what I think will go into 2019. I think there will be colder across the east and the south, and a little bit warmer across the west. Will it be identical to this? Obviously not. There's so many other factors are other than El Nino, but this is just an El Nino watch discussion. If I wanted to include other factors, I would be doing a completely different video. So let's go to February of that year, 2015, which I do think this year will happen again. Uh, Look at this major, major, major cold outbreaks across the eastern part of the United States. The west above average, but still wet potentially. So snow still seems like a fairly good possibility. It doesn't seem like there will be a drought there, but it doesn't seem like it will be a drought buster either. But very, very, very cold weather across the east. I think this February will be coming. And I do think so because, again, look, February 2015, very similar year I showed you. This is what happened. So I want to show you that. I'd like to show you that winter overall, summed up November through March, and you could see it was cold across the east, warm across the west. As of now, we only had a cold November and a warm December, so it's somewhere in between, kind of just a average winter as of now if you add those 2 months up. But I think throughout the next couple of months, winter will definitely make a comeback, and that's the overall summary of this video. I think winter's making a comeback, and it's making it in a big way. I would like, if you're not convinced at all what I'm showing you guys right now, I'd like to show you December that is from a bunch of weak El Nino years compiled from the past. This is over 60 years, 70 years. And you can see that the December overall was warm, especially across the northwestern two-thirds of the country, maybe a little bit cooler across the east, northeast. And this year we haven't had that yet, but we may have that towards the New Year's. We could have a couple of small outbreaks of cooler air, but again, it still seems like the weak to moderate El Ninos, what they have in common is a warm December. Now let's see what they have from January to February of those same exact years, just obviously a year afterwards. So I should say the same exact winter seasons, but into the new year, since January and February could are the same, season as December of that year. So hopefully that made sense. And you can see cooler conditions across the eastern part of the country, and I would say even more than eastern. I'd say the eastern two-thirds, including the Rocky Mountains, some of the Rocky Mountains, especially the northern parts. And this is what I think will average out to, guys. At least some cooler airs coming into January and February. So just because you live in the Northeast or anywhere you haven't seen much snow, don't think that winter is over. I think we're going to be seeing many, many inches of snow, if not feet, for many areas with major snowstorms, major blizzards. It's a definite possibility, guys. So stay tuned for updates. Did I? Yes, I showed you everything, all the images on here. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Hopefully you learned something new, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.